gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Switch It Up Show. I am your host today, Seth Trav, joined as always by our friend Glenn.
Yes, sir. How are you doing this evening? A return to form for us, I think. I hope.
Maybe. It's hard to say. We have a somewhat formed up program here, a series of podcasts on the Preach Network. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for checking in. We've got a super weird show for you today.
This is out there.
2 wild reviews, all from every corner of the spectrum. But before we get to those reviews, ladies and gentlemen, we gotta let these sweet, sweet beats ride. Anamanaguchi, ladies and gentlemen. First up, we have the surprisingly teen-rated game Pantsu Hunter.
Jumping
back in the 90s.
Jumping right into it, huh? I guess you gotta let them know. All right.
I gotta let y'all know that it is only teen-rated, and it is Pantsu Hunter. And if you're like our friend Glenn, you are just now figuring out that Pantsu means panties.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, Setrav. I'm interested to see, how, if this game is as ridiculous as it seems to be. I don't know. It's got the teen rating, so it might not be I'm thinking maybe it's just a crazy name, but I don't know. You let me know. You let the people know.
It's mostly a crazy name.
Okay.
It is going to be $11.04. You can pre-order it right now. The game comes out August 28th, 2019, and you get 55 gold coins when you purchase it on the eShop.
Did you say $11.04?
$11.04.
Okay.
For some reason. Marked down from $12.99. So this is the top headline here for this game. Our game is supposed to give you this wonderful feeling of pure and undisturbed romance and to dip you into this beautiful nostalgic era.
Okay.
It somewhat does that. Here's the full-on description. Share a heart-to-heart talk. Watch a movie together. Take a bath. Remove a computer virus. Help a girl in a tough spot. And, if you're lucky, find the love of your life using the color and pattern of her panties. Pantsu Hunter back in the 90s is an adventure game with point-and-click elements with a risk of swift loss that tells the story about a guy looking for love renovated in a nostalgic 80s and 90s anime style. Kenji Kojima, a young and able enthusiast, leaves his home province to attend university in the capital. Without the help of his parents, it's difficult to live and study, so he begins learning different occupations until he eventually becomes a true handyman. However, academic qualifications aren't his priority in life. It's finding true love. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. To his aid have come the most unexpected of all things: panties. Kenji has learned how to identify a girl's personality by her underwear, and he'll meet 4 girls on his way: a playful sweetheart, a pretty tomboy, a shy introvert, and an icy beauty. Can he eventually find his true love? It features nostalgic and unique 80s and 90s anime style, animated backgrounds and female character faces, original soundtrack created with the help of an old synthesizer, English voicing, 18 panties for your collection, a variety of unforeseeable endings, be careful, and 9 extra scenes disclosing the heroine's past. We very carefully approached the realization of this style. Period. Our game is supposed to give you this wonderful feeling of pure and undisturbed romance and to dip you into this beautiful, nostalgic era. It's by Sometimes You, and, again, it comes out August 28th, 2019. They call it an adventure, an other, and a puzzle game. It is the most fun I have had doing one of these romance sort of novel story games that we have become so accustomed to here on the Switch It Up show, because we've played quite a few.
We have,
you and I. It It definitely hits that old school anime style super well. It really reminds me of, say, Tenchi Muyo. If you were a fan of all those Tenchi series, you would may even recognize someone as if they were out of the Ronin Warriors, because it is pure 90s. Even a Yu Yu Hakusho to some extent, which I really dig. They have English voice acting. I kind of wish that they had a Japanese dub, but the game's not Japanese, believe it or not. It's English, some form of English. I think sometimes you is out of Sweden, maybe, but they give you the British flag when you start up the game. So I'm like, English, that's awesome. Anyway, main character has no voiceover work, so you just read his bits. And he comes off like Dennis from Always Sunny, like a complete highbrow. I'm better than every lady, and I know the exact key to manipulate women in any and all ways. So main character is a little, feels a little smarmy. That's at least how I was reading him. Is super smarmy, because he sounds like a jackass more often than not. But the actual gameplay, talking to these girls, doing the various things you need to do to unlock the panties, it's a wild and fun time. Like, there's so many point and click elements to it that it caught me off guard at first, because it's a lot of not necessarily losing. I don't like that they called it losing, because you have like 15 different endings for everybody, and they're all completely absurd. Like, for some reason, if you sit down on any chair when one of these women isn't there watching you, you'll die. And then it gives you like a little bullet point, like, didn't you realize that chairs are deadly or something like that? There's just so many ways that you can take these stories and mess up and get weird bad endings that it's a lot of fun. And I kept just jumping in again and again because the game plays very quickly. If you can lose right away a lot. You can offer to fix this girl's stuff or help her out with her studies, and you could just be like, no, I don't want to help you. And then it's like, you left, you're a buffoon. How didn't you realize that she wanted to get time to spend with you or stuff like that? And it's actually pretty funny. So I was surprised. The girls' backstories, they all seem fairly damaged, which I guess you'd have to be if you're leaving panties lying around that you have to grab out of a lamp with a wet towel. Otherwise, you burn yourself, which is one of the ways to get panties in the first story.
That's weird.
It is weird. In the second story, there's like a sister to this tomboy, and if you go into her room at one point by actually cooking this chili the correct way, you'll find a bottle of open pills on the floor, and it doesn't have anything to do with anything, it seems. Like, it just says, wow, I didn't think she was into hard drugs, but these are a lot of pills. And you're just like, what? Like, what the hell? But then there's these awesome elements where you find all these little items and you have to figure out how to use them in these odd timed events sometimes. Like, you have to click 6 different areas on a bookshelf after you open up this chick's diary to figure out how to open up a box on that bookshelf that contains a pair of panties. And then there's weird little descriptions about the panties in all of these after you get them in this like Journal of Panties book. It's really wild, and what's even more wild to me is how much I loved this game. I absolutely loved playing it because, again, it's super quick. The style is right on point. The music is straight out of the 80s, 90s. It feels very vaporwave, very Outrun aesthetic. Yeah, it's wild. It's quick. It's fun. It's simple. My only gripe with it is that the main character seems like such an absolute narcissist that it's a turnoff. But but as they said, I think they painstakingly did this so that way you look at this guy collecting panties and you're just like, you are a psychotic. Like, you're just a nutcase. which I think it works. I think it really works for this game. Overall, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5.
That's a high score.
It really is. I'm amazed at how fun this is to play, and how after you start getting into it and getting some of these weirder endings, how you'll just be like, send me back. Let me go again. I just want to figure out, like, what is he gonna say? What could possibly be done, and what does this mean? At one point, you can just like splash around in one of these women's bathtubs, and it's like fish out of water, and it says like you're not supposed to do that, especially when she's not there. But she's glad that you drew her a bath. Another way, if you don't jump into that bath, it'll be like she goes into the bath and then you leave, and that's an ending. Like, it's bizarre. It's wild, and it's surprisingly fun. And I think if you look at this, like, it is just a fun nonsense game with great attention to 90s anime. You're gonna have a really good time.
So it's more like a visual novel with a like weird title, or like
it's a visual novel with strong point and click adventure elements. I think that's why I like it so much, because a lot of these visual novels that we play are so just kind of heavy, and long, and there's not really a lot of action happening. But this, it's just like, it's quick, it's fast paced, you're always getting endings, you're always going to different things, and it's fairly quick to be able to get to all of them. I think to get the true endings for any of these 4 characters, it really only takes like maybe 5 minutes total, if you're actually reading everything. But yeah, it's so much fun. I highly suggest you play it.
There you go. And when's it come out again?
August 28th, 2019.
Ooh, okay. So we got a little while. Plenty of time to get that pre-order in for that $11.04, right?
Yeah, right. Marked down from that $12.99.
Such a weird sale, but hey, I mean, I guess
what percentage is that? It's not. Is that 10?
No, not even. Oh yeah, maybe, because 10 would be, if it's $12.99, it's pretty much $1.30. So more than $1.30. So yeah, more than 10%. Hey, nothing wrong with that, I guess. Save
15% off, I guess.
Save a few dollars. But if you do want to go ahead and pay a full $12.99, you can check out Woodle Tree 2 Deluxe. Deluxe, not the standard edition, not the first Woodle Tree, that classic. Woodle Tree 2, the deluxe version. Mr.
I've
Chad.
never played a standard edition Woodle Tree. I've only ever done the deluxe.
I mean, you can't look at it any other way. If you set down Woodle Tree standard and Woodle Tree Deluxe, I'm going to be reaching for that deluxe version every single time. Allow me to tell you the story of the Woodle Tree. Will you be able to save Mother Nature in this vast open world adventure? This time, a new menace is taking over the woodlands with a black substance that is absorbing life and energy from all living creatures. Will you be skilled enough to help Woodle in his quest to repel this enormous new evil force? Explore the wonderful lands and find a way to restore the balance in this open world platformer adventure with RPG elements. Travel across immense forests and deserts, hills, seashores, from the highest mountains to the bottomless oceans as you meet new characters that will help you in your own personal adventure while fighting challenging enemies. It features a vast new way to explore freely, platforming sections completely redesigned for the most hardcore gamers in this new deluxe edition. Fast-paced abilities and puzzles, power-ups and items to upgrade the Woodle, and helpful leaf. Local co-op for up to 4 players to experience the main adventure with your friends, and new bizarre characters that you'll meet during your quest. Will they help you? Will they hinder you? Only one way to find out in Woodle Tree 2, the Deluxe Edition. This is available now, ladies and gentlemen, so if you could just barely make it through that description without getting the itch to pick up your Switch and get into some of the doodle with the Woodle, now is the time. Now is the time, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I got excited here. I feel like this is a well written description. It gets me excited to play this game. This is kind of like a Nintendo 64 game almost on steroids, and I mean that in a nice way. It is very much an open world platformer. You can go pretty much anywhere in these levels. It's not, it's not a side scroller. Think, Mario 64. If this was on like an older like retro system, like it would feel like at home. I get that feeling while I'm playing this. You have that kind of like old school Nintendo 64 style graphics where the trees are like super rounded and everything is kind of stretched out and like taken to the next level in that term of like design and aesthetic. So if you like that type of graphic style, I think you'll like this game. 64 was like a big system for me. I had a lot of like fond memories playing games on that, and if you're into that graphical style, this game will definitely like hold your attention. Levels are super bright, really colorful, and you really do go like a wide variety of places. There's an ice level, there's a level where you're kind of in space, there's one where you're at the beach, and it's got that like super like minimalist like water where the water like barely moves and it's only got a couple of like dots here and there kind of letting you know that it's water, but I feel like it's done well, and the colors are so bright and vibrant that I don't mind the fact that it's kind of toned down, and in some moments like it's really, polygonical is not an adjective, but if it was, that's what I would use to describe the look of some of this. It's a little blocky here and there, but I find it like quaint and adorable, as opposed to like, annoying, and I don't know, some people might think it's lazy. I think it looks cool. I'm into the look of this game. It's very simple to play as well. Basically, you're kind of thrown right into it as soon as it starts. All of the powers, have been drawn from Mother Nature, and you have to go and, collect them back. And basically, you really only have like, a couple attacks. You have this leaf as Woodle that you bring around with you, and you can collect water in it, and you can glide with it. And I feel like the controls are pretty like spot on. There are some weird moments where you have to kind of jump from one like to platformer, so you're going to be jumping. But there are moments where it shifts kind of from 3D into looking almost 2D. It's like that 2.5D, which can kind of be like confusing. It's
like a Paper Mario.
Yeah, like Paper Mario, but from like a little bit of like an overhead perspective. So like it feels weird, but I feel like the controls are pretty spot on. Like when I first saw it, as soon as the camera shifted, I was like, this is going to be bad. But I was able to kind of like navigate
like
the
Sonic
level.
3D Blast a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be bad, because as soon as it did that, I'm like, here we go. But I had a good time, and it was where you have to like there's some wind that comes by, and you have to hold the leaf up so it catches the wind, and you can kind of like glide by. And I had no problem with it. So like, in terms of, you got like good graphics in this game. I think good graphics. I like the style of it, and the control scheme is fun. And it's just easy to play. I like the fact that there's really not that much going on. You're basically going into each different level, doing some platforming, just smacking all the enemies and collecting, the little like coins that they leave behind. It's simple. In terms, since like you and I play a bunch of other games that are way more complicated and in depth, like Destiny, for example, which is about to get even more complicated and in depth.
Yeah.
This is the exact opposite. If you just want like a throwback like game where you can play and kind of just go through, beat up some enemies, collect some coins, and move on to the next level and just soak in the atmosphere, this is it. I like this game. I don't know how much is here. If you're looking for something that is more in depth, I don't think this is the game for you. If you're sick of platformers, you're gonna hate it. But I like the fact that it's open world and you can go a lot more places. And I just feel like less limited in this. I don't have that that need to be like, all right, I gotta finish everything right now. I can just go in, relax, play some of the level, check out the graphics, and which aren't super like impressive. It's just, I feel like they're going for a specific style, and I feel like they hit it really well. Like at least it resonated with me. This game is $12.99 on the Nintendo eShop. It is out now. I do think that is a little bit pricey for what it is. Because the Switch, like the eShop, it's got a ton of games. Every single week on the eShop, you guys probably don't know, but like maybe like 20, 25 games comes out. So many games come out that we had to stop covering them all. We used to have that segment.
It was too much.
It was ridiculous.
We're taking up 45 minutes of showtime just saying, hey, there's a game coming out this week.
Oh my god, it was nuts. We would do a summary of like each one and basically say like if it was cool or not. We had to cut it out because like you'd have like 22 like games to talk about, and then you would have the review, and before you know it, the show's like an hour and a half, and it was ridiculous. With all the titles that are out there, $12.99 is kind of like I feel like it's like a medium, like a pretty big ask. Like there's a lot of games out that are like cheaper and better. So for what it is, I think it's a little pricey. But that being said, I'll give this a 3.5 out of 5 on the Nintendo Switch. I had fun with this. If you're in the platforming games, especially like 3D, like kind of retro platformers, check it out. I think you might be interested in it. It is also on a few different platforms. You can get this on Steam. The game itself has been out for a little while. They actually bragged that the Nintendo Switch version plays at 60 frames per second. I did not do any testing to verify this.
Can you do that? Is that I don't know. Can you do that on the Switch?
That's what they say. But it's interesting because in a lot of the reviews for the older game, the first Woodle Tree, I don't know if it's the Deluxe Woodle Tree or the standard Woodle Tree, but a lot of people complain about the frame rate and the fact that it's not too constant. They say that the controls are difficult and it's hard to be like accurate with them. I didn't have that problem. In fact, I thought it was kind of fun to play.
It must be 60 FPS then.
So yeah, quite possibly. You never know I'm not sure exactly what resolution this is running at. It's not anything. It's not anything too crazy. I don't know if anybody's playing like 4K Woodle Tree.
Yeah.
If you're out there, you're living the dream. I'll tell you that. But yeah, 3.5, my man, out of 5, and that is Woodle Tree 2 Deluxe Edition.
That's good. I'm interested now in what a standard Woodle Tree would be. If anyone out there knows, let me know at Setrav. He's at From the Crib Together. We're at Preachcast.
There it is. We're working on changing that.
Preach Network on the YouTube, where you can catch gameplay of all of these games and so much more. And, ladies and gentlemen, if things ever start to get boring, you can always switch it up